In this episode of Testimony, a musician's story presented by Soundseekers, I sat down with rapper and singer Jon Keith. Jon Keith comes from Southern California, that's San Diego. He's signed to Ruslan's King's Dream label. And when I say we talk about everything, we talk about everything. From him losing his virginity, to hermeneutics, to his love for theology. We talk about a possible NBA boycott and the 19-year anniversary of Aaliyah's death. Also, he had a new album that dropped, Anti-Hero. It came out the same day as Lecrae's Restoration. We talk about that too. But he also breaks down FOMO, Trust, King featuring Beleaf, and Anti-Hero in our 4-song Breakdown. I am Gaylika Brown, and this is Soundseekers Presents Testimony, a Musician's Story. For any new music, go to Soundseekers' Spotify page. They have plenty of playlists on there to keep you up to date on what's new. This is Jon Keith's Testimony, a Musician's Story. Let's start with your first music memory.
My first music memory? That's tough. So is that my first music memory in regards to like me making my own music, in regards to me just playing a part in music?
It's your first recollection of just music, period. So whether it be you as a little kid listening to something, watching a music video. Yeah.
Got you. I was in church and I was listening to the worship team, and I really was like mesmerized with the drummer and everything he was doing. I just thought it was so dope, the rhythm and the patterns and everything like that. I was super young too. I don't even know how old I was. But that's what I saw that, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. I was like, yo, I'm gonna be a drummer. Like that's the move.
Okay. And do you drum?
I do, actually.
Okay. Sweet. So you actually followed through.
Yeah, I was drumming a long time before I was rapping. So, I started taking drum lessons slowly, and then I was actually in the, because I'm from San Diego, so I was in the San Diego Youth Symphony for a little while.
Oh, wow.
And then I started playing drums for my church right after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
All right. And since we're going back to your first recollection of music, so you were a little kid then, you said you're from San Diego. Is that where you were born?
Yeah.
And did you grow up in a 2-parent household?
Yeah. I grew up with both my parents, and I have like a big family. So like I have 2 brothers that are my full brothers, and then we have a half brother that is still our full brother, but he was gone by the time I was like, he's a lot older. He's 11 years older than me. So
okay.
He was gone. And then we have a cousin that was raised in our house, so it feels weird to call him a cousin. So that's one of our brothers. And then we have 2 little girls that were raised in our house. Always knew them as our sisters. You know what I'm saying? So it's a big family. But yeah, both my parents married. Yeah.
And the 2 little girls, were they related as well?
No, they were actually, we didn't even find this out until much later, but we were, they were just family friends of ours. They were like always there. Their parents were working a lot, so they were always there. But I mean, we were so young that they told us, these are your sisters, and like there was no questioning that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yeah, these are my sisters. Well, it was one, and then I remember the other one being born. But yeah.
So it sounds like your parents were very nurturing people.
They're everyone's parents.
Okay. And was it a Christian household?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, my dad was, he absolutely hates when I say this, but he was borderline a pastor, just because every church we ever went to, he was very close with the pastor. He was leading men's groups. He was, even right now, my dad leads like 3 or 4 Bible studies, different Bible studies. And that's just how we always grew up. My dad was, from as long as I can remember, my dad has been walking around with little index cards like this I actually started doing this now. Index cards with like scriptures on them, right?
Okay.
And he would put them in his pocket, and then he would just kind of meditate on that throughout the day. And so I started doing that as well recently. But yeah, it was very, very much a Christian household from the jump.
Wow. That's a cool idea with the cards.
Yeah, it's really helpful too.
So you grew up in the church, but what was it? When did you actually have that connection for yourself and decide that, Jesus is your Lord and Savior?
Man, church camp.
Okay.
I was a kid. I was a youth. I was a jit, and I, we went to church camp. I mean, like we always went to church. I was like, but we went up to church camp and saw some of the most insane, unexplainable things that I've ever seen in my life. So.
Meaning, like, what's an example?
Like kids getting healed, kids getting visions. My older brother, didn't sing at this point.
Okay.
And he was given a vision of him like leading worship in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. He's very young. He didn't really sing yet.
Okay.
And then that's what he's a worship leader now. Like, and for one of the biggest churches in San Diego.
Oh wow.
And saw, and like and also just watching the change in him, you know what I'm saying, watching all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh wow, so God's like real. This is crazy. And then like I had a whole, journey with that too. So yeah.
So then is like in the San Diego area, is Keith your real last name?
Keith is my middle name.
Your middle name. Okay. Do you mind if I ask your last name?
I'll tell you. No, it's my full name is Jonathan Keith Randall.
So are like the Randalls like known for their church going and being involved in the community in San Diego then?
That's a fair statement, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, anybody that knows us would probably put us in that category. Yeah.
Okay. So you saw crazy things happening while at church camp. You see Jesus is real.
Yeah.
But was there something in particular where you were like, okay, this is it for me?
It was a long process. It was a 5-year process. So I saw that when I was 12. Okay. And then up until 17, I was chasing that. I was thinking that, okay, so like God is real, but he's up here at this mountain, at this church camp that I go to. So then I would come back down. I'm not seeking God or anything like that. I mean, I'm 12. I don't really understand it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All the way up till 17. So 17, I went up, and this is like a whole another story, man. I don't even know if I could.
That's what the whole purpose of Testimony Musician Story is for.
Yeah.
Your story.
So, so I went up when I was 12. I came back down, and like I had the realization. I was like, okay, so God's real, but I didn't experience anything myself going up there. So I was like, so God's real. He just doesn't care about me. Right. And that was like a thing that I was struggling with, as a 12-year-old. I was like, oh, so like, this is very much real, but I don't get to experience that. So I made sure at all costs, I went back to that camp every year that it came around at all costs. There was not a year that I missed. If I had to do crazy things to raise the money so I could go back up, or if I had to convince some, old white couple to, fund me to go to to go to church camp. I was doing it. I was doing whatever it took, because I was like, that's where God is, and that's where I'm going to have the experience that all these kids are having. Yeah. And when I say crazy things, I mean crazy things. Like, there was a night the worship was going crazy, and the guitarist was playing, and one of his strings broke, and it like broke, and the pastor was right next to him, and it like whipped and cut his face. Oh my gosh. What? And we saw that, and then the cut, it healed up. It healed in that moment? In the service, yes. What? In that moment. And so we were like, yo, this is real. This is crazy. What in the world did I just watch? You know, so like, I'll be like, I want to experience something like this, you know, and I was chasing after that feeling, I guess, but I wasn't seeking God at home. And so, like I said, I made sure I went back every year, and I never got anything until the very last year where, you know, God really kind of like, I had this super crazy thing happen where, you know, we're in a worship service and I'm like, you know, trying to worship and trying to press in, and then like the enemy starts talking to me and he's like, this doesn't mean anything. You're gonna go home, you're gonna be the same. He's not gonna know you, he's not gonna talk to you, he doesn't care. And then like, instead of pressing in, I went and started to argue with this thought that the enemy had placed, you know, and then the thoughts started to like kind of argue back. And then I'm realizing, oh, like this is super spiritual moment, because it's not even like I'm arguing with a thought anymore. This is like an audible voice almost that I'm like going at, you know what I'm saying? It's super crazy. And then it rocks me. And then I still like it as clear as that. He said, okay, so your God cares about you so much, but I talk to you more than he ever does. And I was like, ouch, you know?
Yeah.
And so that flipped me out. I had like a panic attack.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just started to go through it, and I'm just like, you know, falling apart. And then God actually used my friend. My friend just started looking for me throughout the service, and he came and found me, and he like just started praying for me. And like the voice of God kind of broke through and was just like, do you know how valuable you are to me? He's like, look at the lengths that the enemy has gone to like destroy you. Like he want, like there's a reason that he wants you dead ultimately.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're valuable to me, you know. And so after experiencing that, I was like, yeah, I can't go back. Like that's something I can never forget, you know. And so, you know, I'm in I come home and then like I'm actually getting discipled. People are telling me like, you have to be in the word. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like God is not just up there.
Yeah.
Like, he's in you. Right. So like, get in the word, go spend time with Jesus, like set time aside, and he's going to meet you. And so, you know, that's kind of just how it started. Then I started to get like, you know, super into like theology and all that kind of stuff. And just, yeah, I just got super passionate about all that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of what I'm into now. Like I have favorite preachers and theologians and all that kind of stuff. And it's, yeah.
So was this then year 5 when you had that moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
17.
Awesome. And do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 23.
Okay. So wasn't too
What if I was just like,
long ago.
nah? What if I was just like, nah, you can't ask me?
Hey, some people, usually it would be like the over 30 people who really don't want to. But
Gotcha.
I have a grandma who's 106 and she is proud of it. Every birthday she says she's like
106 right now.
Yeah.
That's so dope. She's alive in 106. That's the oldest human I've ever heard be alive. That's crazy.
Yeah. I haven't seen her since this whole COVID thing though. So that's
so crazy.
But yeah, so she's just like, why would I be ashamed of my age? Like I'm always like I'm happy to be alive. Like every year she got older and older. She never hit her age. So I'm taking that on.
That's so crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so you're 23, you're in the Christian hip hop space, you're, you know, super talented rapper, and you're also, I saw on Instagram, are you in a relationship now too?
Yeah. Yep.
So how does that work? I mean, basically being like this rapper in the spotlight, people watching you, and you're in a relationship. How's that?
It's tough. It's not impossible though. It's you know, I think it kind of helps that she's not like, oh, you know, she's very like, I want us to be like us. Don't put all of us out there. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, she's still very ministry minded. So she's like, if people can benefit from seeing us and watching us and learning from our mistakes and all that kind of stuff, she's like, I'm all for it. So, it's not ideal, but it works.
I mean, because then you kind of have to decide what you want to share, what you don't want to share.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where we've gotten into it before, where it's like, her friend will take a video of her doing or saying something, and then she's cool with it, but then like, I'll do the same thing, and she's like, nah, you can't post that. I'm like, why? She posted it. She's like, yeah, you have 20,000 people looking at what you post. Absolutely not. You can't post it. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So,
makes sense.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Do you feel any sort of pressure though, or anything, being, this young man leading this relationship and you're in the spotlight?
Yeah. Yeah. Tons and tons and tons of it. Sometimes it feels like there's no room to mess up. You know what I'm saying? There's no, and I know that, there's grace and all that kind of stuff, but it feels like, if somebody else messes up, it's just a mess up.
Yeah.
If I mess up, then it's public, and people are going to see it, and they're going to know, they're going to talk about it forever, and they're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's, and it's so funny too, because like, I feel for, celebrities, because I'm not even there. Like, I'm not, some people know who I am, and I feel that pressure.
Yeah.
I think about people like Justin Bieber, who is like, man, there is always something to say. There's always something to say, so.
But he also has a whole like series on their relationship as well. So they kind of put themselves out there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other, or do you know of any other couples that are in a similar situation, like other artists that you kind of can go walk alongside of?
To be honest, I think I'm probably, out of the people that I know, I'm the person that like makes it the most public,
Yeah.
Like, I have friends, almost all my friends are in relationships, but they're much more private than I am.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? So like, no big deal. His wife is she's like, I'm not trying to do all that. You know what I'm saying? And then I have friends with girlfriends and, fiancés and all that kind of stuff. And they're all very much like, very much to themselves, which is, it's understandable. I fully understand. I think probably if I could think back, if I could go back, I probably I wouldn't have done something different, but I would have done this differently. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
How so though?
Like, I think very early on, I put her very much in the spotlight. And she's had to deal with that too. Like, people will DM her, and people will DM her for me. Like, yo.
Can you pass this message along? Okay.
Right, hey, do you think you can show Jon this song? Yo, what's the album about? Yo, and all this kind of stuff. And then she, that frustrates her. She's like, I don't want to do this. Like, and then so I had to put out a message a little while ago. I was like, hey, look, do not DM my girlfriend about anything that has to do with me.
Yeah.
If you want to ask her about clothing or Jesus or her relationship and you're a girl, do not DM my girlfriend if you're a guy. But you know what I'm saying? If you want to, like, that's one thing. But you, asking her about my album is not cool.
That's crazy. Okay. And how does God's presence look like in your life personally, outside of music?
What do you mean?
So right now, either if you look back, going from when you gave your life to Christ to now, how does his presence look like in your life?
I feel like, he's still very much present. I think that for me, it's much more, I'm much more like, I have to go, like, do like an actual, like a study, you know what I'm saying, in order for me to, make the time that I have with him valuable. I used to just be able to like hop into scripture, read a verse, and be like, all right, I'm gonna think about that today and bounce. But in order for like me to really be in the spirit, now I feel like I have to, spend genuine, like, real time with him, where I'm learning something. I'm in the word, like I'm looking up translations and Greek and Hebrew, all that kind of stuff. And I don't even know if that's necessarily the best place to be. I want to get back to a place where, it can, I can just dwell on something that's true, right? Because the word is true. I can just take something and dwell on it and focus on the truth of that scripture rather than trying to find some deeper meaning in all this stuff by looking up the and I think it's good to do like the full on study and like going through like hermeneutics and like looking at the theology of it. But I think I need to get back to a place where it's also simple, it can be simple again. But does that answer the question?
Yeah, but what do you think the reasoning is at? Like, why isn't it not so simple for you these days?
I think that I've taken myself to a place where I overthink everything.
Okay.
Everything is like my mind is racing 100 miles per hour, like all the time. And so like, and then also, just having conversations with people where they'll bring up something that I never thought about, or they'll challenge my faith in a certain way. So then I'm like, okay, so then I'm reading and I'm like, okay, well, what about this? Because I've heard this said before. So like, let me go and check that and all that kind of stuff. And it's, some of it's from an argumentative standpoint, which is not great, but, I feel like that's a piece of it for sure.
Okay. So we're going to move on to the next section, which I called What's Trending. So what's trending on Twitter. So it's kind of a little heavy as far as what's trending just because of what's going on in the world. But are you a basketball fan at all, NBA?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So there's an article that says boycott on the table for Raptors following Jacob Blake's shooting. So basically the Raptors and Celtics players had gotten together and they had this conversation. And a couple of the players, one, Fred VanVleet, says, what are we willing to give up? Do we actually give an F about what's going on? Or is it just cool to have Black Lives Matter on the backdrop or wearing a t-shirt? I'm not sure if you've seen, like, on the NBA, like, all of their jerseys have a statement on them now instead of their names. So,
wow, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so instead of, it's saying, I don't know, LeBron, instead of it saying James on the back, it will say, like, Black Lives Matter or, I don't know, power or something. They have some sort of statement.
Yeah.
And so there's another guy, Norm Powell, who says, I think everybody's at the point where sitting up here and saying Black Lives Matter and sitting up having a discussion in Zoom calls and this and that and the other, putting apparel on, that's not getting the job done. Taking the knee for the anthem, that's not getting the job done. It's starting to get washed out. I feel like Black Lives Matter is just another part of the conversation now because you see it so much, it's everywhere. So I'm wondering to you, do you feel like Black Lives Matter is just like a talking point now? Was there any importance to it and it's kind of just like faded?
Man, I don't know. I feel like this is such a, like you said, it's just a heavy topic because it's like, you know, it feels, I was having a talk with my mentor a couple months ago, I think, where I was just telling him that, like, where I'm at, in all honesty, like, it feels hopeless. Not in the sense that I don't have hope, because my hope is in Jesus. My hope isn't in the justice system. I'm never going to expect the justice system to do what's right. Because ultimately this world is broken, and if it's not this, then it's going to be something else until Jesus comes back. But and then I'm like, but that doesn't mean that we stop fighting, right? So then I'm in a really weird place where it's like it doesn't feel genuine, because I want so badly for what's right to be done, but there's a large part of me that believes it never will be.
Yeah.
On behalf of man, right? I mean, because Jesus is gonna come in and make everything right. But then I'm like, when I say hopeless, I've lost all hope in men doing what's right, I would say. And so
I get what you're saying.
It's a tough thing.
It is, because I mean it's all on man, like you said, losing hope in men to actually do what is right. There's only, because for me, my thought is a lot of this is a heart issue, right? Where, because even if you know Jesus, doesn't mean that your heart is in the right, going the right direction, right? You can still feel all kinds of ways and know Jesus. But is it possible to get every single person on the face of this earth on the same page, to have that same like heart correction? Is that possible? In my opinion, I'm like, no, like that's where I feel the hopeless in men. Like, how are we going to get every single person? Like, yes, I believe in Jesus. Yes, I believe in the power in Jesus. Yes, I believe that, we're supposed to spread the gospel. But how long have we been spreading the gospel, and how many, we still have this divide. So I totally get where you're saying when you're like, just losing faith in our hope in men.
Yeah.
Hard.
Which is also, it makes sense, because I mean, the scripture told us not to do that, which makes sense.
Exactly.
It said don't
trust
put your faith in it. Exactly. And it's like, that's exactly what it is. And I found out that it was, I used to easily write off people. Anyone who was saying like, oh, when Ahmaud Arbery got shot, anyone that was saying, oh, it was self-defense, like all that kind of stuff, I'll write them off and be like, this person does not know or love Jesus, period, and move on. And then I realized it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Because I have friends that I never in a billion years would question if they love Jesus or not. From like the encouragement that they've been in my life when I'm going through it, and they're like, yo, let's just go somewhere and let's just pray. Me and you, let's just go pray, and like for hours, whatever. Like, I've had friends that have done that. And then I've had this conversation with them where they're like, you're tripping. White privilege is not a thing. You're tripping. There's not a racism thing. You're tripping. And it's like, I'm like, okay, so I would never question if you love Jesus. I know you love Jesus. But this is backwards, Like, how are you not seeing this? And so like, it really is, I feel like politics have a lot to do with it. I have a strong just level of I hate politics.
Yeah.
I hate the whole, I mean, for the world, yes, go ahead. You know what I'm saying, do your Republican, Democrat thing, whatever. But I mean, like, for Christians, you're supposed to belong to a third kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so many Christians that get so rooted in their political view that they then make their Christian beliefs align with that rather than the other way around. And so I'm like, when people ask like what side I'm on, I'm like, neither. I take it case by case. I look for the gospel in every situation because that's what we're supposed to do. There's never going to be a time where every time, this side is right and every time this side is wrong, or vice versa. It's not going to happen. So, I'm like, you got to, and I feel like that's a lot. That's where it comes from. But it's like, we're supposed to belong to a third kingdom.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just also hard to me. It just seems, because I'm an empathetic person, right? I'm an empath. It's easier for me to put myself in other people's shoes. But that just seems like the most challenging thing for a lot of people who just don't get what people are feeling when it comes to the statement of Black Lives Matter, and just the trauma that occurs just by even watching the videos of watching Black people being murdered or shot. This last guy, Jacob Blake, I didn't even watch that one. I was like, I'm not. I read about it. Like, he got shot in front of his family. Like, I don't need that trauma. I'm still fragile from everything else.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize like that trauma of seeing that constantly all the time and the effect that it has on a Black person.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't watched it either. I'm not going to.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to watch it either.
Because, I mean, it's the same thing. I don't like, it's not only that, but it's desensitizing us to watching that. And it's like, oh yeah, like this is regular.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to hit that point, And so, and I think it's because, I mean, I feel like I'm really kind of removed from it living in Cali. There's not a whole lot of that happens in San Diego. There's way more minorities than not. I mean, the minorities is the majority over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't get a whole lot of that. So I mean, like, when I was watching all of this, none of it even had to do with me. Like, my, stake in it had nothing to do with the fact that I'm Black.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, just like, this is wrong. And then, because, me and my girlfriend are, talking about, marriage and, like, planning life and all that kind of stuff. So we had a plan or a desire to want to go to Atlanta at some point. And then she came to me and she was like crying and she was like, I don't want to go. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? She was like, I'm scared that if we go anywhere else but here, I'm going to lose you. And then I was like, yo, whoa, I did not even, I was like, yo, it didn't even hit me, the fact that could be me.
Yeah.
Like, like, shoot, I was like, dang, I want to tell her, nah, that's not the case. But I'm like, dang, like, that's kind of wild. I've never even, it didn't even dawn on me. I'm not saying I didn't know I was Black. I knew I'm Black, but it's just,
what?
You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, what you mean? Yeah, so, but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, the proximity thing is interesting too, being where you're at, because a lot of things change when you relocate, or a lot of things could change when you relocate. Yeah. Not only that, if you're like in a interracial relationship, it's more acceptable and more just like, you don't even really think about it if you're in places like California. But if you go to other places, then it might be a bigger deal. So yeah, it's just crazy how proximity plays a role in things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another trending topic. Yesterday made 19 years since Aaliyah passed away.
Mm.
And so on the anniversary of her death, her estate announced that they are in talks with record labels about making her music available on streaming platforms. Friends and fans are celebrating the announcement and paying tribute to the R&B icon. So, Aaliyah, did she play any kind of role in your music life, creativity, or anything?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
You know, I really grew up on. The funny thing is, until I was 14, I was listening to country music.
Really?
Super wild, super random.
Oh, how? Yeah, that is random. Was that your whole family or just you?
My parents loved country music, and
Okay.
so that's what we were listening to. Kenny Chesney and Luke Bryan and Rascal Flatts, all that kind of stuff. We were in the car going nuts. You know what I'm saying? But also, it was also gospel and some like Stevie Wonder, like that kind of stuff. But when I was 14, I was introduced to Christian rap, and so that's all I listened to after that. I was like Lecrae, KB, Andy, Tripoli. That's it. 116. And that's all I'm listening to.
You were literally a baby when she died.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I was a baby.
All right. So let's talk about how you got your start into music.
Yeah. Actually the place where I found Christian rap, I was in a program called the David's Harp Foundation, super dope program that actually lets at-risk, underprivileged, and like homeless and incarcerated youth trade grades and good behavior for studio time.
Oh, okay.
And so I was in that up until I was from 14 to 18, and the founder of that organization is actually the one that has been discipling me since I was 14 to like now.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the David's Harp Foundation. And when I was 18,
David, is it heart, like your heartbeat?
Like David's,
harp? Okay,
yeah,
the actual harp with
because
the instrument. Got it.
Yeah, the idea came from the scripture when when King Saul was being tormented, and David would play the harp, and then the tormenting spirit would leave Saul. So that's where it came from, because that's exactly what it did. So I was there from 14 to 18, and I graduated, and I started working there from 18 until a couple months ago, actually. And so, they it was super essential to like everything that I'm doing now. You know what I'm saying? Like I've made my first mixtape there. I met my like producer / best friend / DJ.
Who is that?
His name is Wowie. He produces a lot of the music, and he DJs for me when we go and perform. So met him there because he was a student there as well, and he still works there. Yeah, it's just a super dope program.
But how did you even start rapping and singing though? Because you have to have some sort of skill set to get that studio time, right?
So I actually started out just doing I was only doing video stuff. I was learning video production, right? And then I switched to like engineering. They were teaching me how to set up. And nobody knew I rapped. Nobody knew I wanted to rap.
Okay.
I was setting up the studio one day for another kid to come in and rap. And the kid was late. And so my mentor was like, yo, go in there and check the mic. And I was like, all right. And I went in there to check the mic. He played the beat, and I just started rapping on the beat. And he stopped it, and he was like, yo, what? He's like, are you serious? I was like, what? What'd I do? He was like, bro, you rap. I was like, well, nah, he said, no, bro, that was a written verse that you just spit on this mic. Stop playing, like, come out so we can talk about this. So, we just, we talked about me doing a mixtape, or an EP. So we did that. That's actually still on the internet now, but I'll never tell people what it's called or where they can find it.
So how old were you then?
I was 16.
Oh. And how did you link up with Ruslan and King's Dream?
So I was a fan of Dream Junkies, and then my cousin scored like tickets to their album release party, and so we went together, and he and actually it's actually funny. The studio that I grew up in, David's Harp.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, the Dream Junkies or Ruslan and Beleaf used to record with them. They know them, like they're well acquainted. They've worked together before, and I didn't know that.
Okay.
And I remember the first time I actually ever saw Beleaf on stage. I was at a conference called Future Quest, and Andy Mineo was performing. And Andy Mineo is like my hero, right? So like, I grew up wanting to be him, and so, but he brought Beleaf with him for the show. So they did one of Beleaf's songs. I was like, this is crazy. And I went and I took a picture with Beleaf. I didn't get to take a picture with Andy because it was a long line. I took a picture with Beleaf. And then the next week, I was at the studio. And then one of my mentors got a phone call. He's like, yo, I'm outside. So he went and opened up the door and Beleaf came in. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. I was like, yo, I just saw you in concert a few days ago, and I love your music, all that kind of stuff. And he doesn't remember that right now, but yeah, we just kind of kept crossing paths until I entered a remix contest and lost, but I really won because they heard it. Ruslan heard my music and was like, yo, whoa, what? So he reached out and we just started having conversation, everything like that, and it led to that.
What was the song that you remixed?
It's Shoot Me. I don't know if you remember that off of the Good Religion album.
Okay. Oh, so it was Ruslan's contest then.
Yeah, it was the Dream Junkies remix contest, but Ruslan was spearheading it. He owns King's Dream, so yeah.
Okay, so he reaches out to you. He thinks that obviously you're a talented young artist, so he just starts building kind of like a mentorship relationship, or
it was really just a friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like we just were coming up. He was doing these open mics. We came up and did performed with those, and we were at the studio just kind of talking, showing each other music. He was asking us what we thought about his music, all that kind of stuff. And it was a group of us. It was me, T. Ross the Giant, Charlie Powers, Jet Trouble. There was a lot of us that were a part of that. Just and then I ended up signing. Yeah.
And now let's talk Anti-Hero.
Yes.
So came out last week. Same release day as Lecrae's Restoration.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was great. I didn't know he was dropping on the same day until 3 weeks before, and I was like, good, really good. I think that's happened before too. I think he dropped All Things Work Together. Oh no, he dropped Let the Trap Say Amen at the same time as one of my other joints too. Or it was somebody. It was either him or Andy. Somebody dropped something at the same time as I dropped something, and I was like, dang man, they keep doing this. But they really nobody
knows, but
nobody knows.
I mean, for listeners, it just gives us more content to listen to, because I was listening to both albums, Restoration and Anti-Hero, going back and forth, and they both got major spins for me. So
that's awesome.
So why Anti-Hero? Why the title and the whole concept?
Anti-Hero concept came from me feeling the weight of people's expectations from people in this space. You know, I mean, like, sometimes people just get, I don't want to say lucky, but almost, you know, like, I'll put it like this. There's pastors who go and like train, and they go to school and they learn how to lead a congregation, and they learn how to shepherd people and all that kind of stuff, and they learn it well, and then they go and start a church, and then pastors are held to a certain standard. There's that versus 19-year-old kid who just happens to make music that people like, being held to that same standard. It's like, why is that? Like, why is this kid somebody's hero? This kid has to, like, you know, that, and that's what it is. People be like, oh, you're my hero. You know, I'm watching everything that you do. If you mess up, I'm going to mess up too. You know, it's like, you know, and so it's like, it doesn't, people are kind of forced into this hero space where it's like, and then you have to perform like a hero. And so then it's like, if you really knew me, how I know me, you would say I'm a villain. You wouldn't say I'm a hero, right? And so the project was actually almost called Heroes and Villains, but, you know, I didn't want to do that because I was like, you know, I'm not necessarily a villain because Jesus has redeemed me, you know what I'm saying? And I love Jesus, and I love what Jesus says is right. Now, even though I am for and I love what Jesus says is right, I have flaws and issues, and I'm selfish, and I have agendas, and I have, just like every person, right? And so that's kind of, so that, because I'm into like comic books and all that kind of stuff, the term anti-hero came up because I thought about people like, you know, the Punisher, or you know,
yeah,
a bunch of comic book characters that, like, they're good guys because they're for the greater good, but the way they do things isn't always accepted by everybody.
Yeah. Okay. And let's move on to our 4-song breakdown section. So the artist raps or recites a verse and discusses what's going on between the lines of the song story. And I selected FOMO, Trust, King, and Anti-Hero for you.
Yeah.
So if you don't want...
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you don't mind starting with FOMO and either selecting a verse that you like, you can rap it, recite it, and then just discuss the song, any pertinent information you feel we should know about that song.
It's so crazy. I was just doing this yesterday with my mom and my girl, just for fun.
Okay.
I was like, they're not even catching it. Like, they're not even understanding what I'm saying. But yeah. So the song FOMO in overall is kind of just about. It's about so like all of my friends around me, not all of them, a good portion of my friends were last year were getting married, were getting engaged, were, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I am not a traditional dude. I'm very excited to get married. I've always been very excited to get married since I was a little boy. I was like, that's gonna be fire. You know, I was like, that's gonna be dope. So, we were having that conversation a lot. Me and my girl, when we first got together, she was like, yeah, I don't see myself getting married for like 5 years. And I was like, I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's a long time. So we would have this conversation a lot. And there was one thing that she said to me at one point where she's like, I just feel like you want to get married because all your friends are getting married. And so it's like she was saying I had this FOMO. And while that wasn't fully true, there was a a truth in it where, you know, I was afraid of missing out on that. But while I was doing that, I'm actually missing out on present time with her because I'm always looking for the future. So called it FOMO. The verse, well, the hook is like the more catchy thing. I guess I'll write that down. So it says, I'm not gonna sing it. I'm just gonna say it. I just realized what I'm chasing. I don't got time for no statement. Don't wait for me. I won't make it. I ain't like my pace, so I changed it. So just from there, like, kind of just like having a self-realizing moment, you know what I'm saying? Like an objective view of myself where I'm like, oh, I'm trying to like speed things up because of this FOMO, right? Mm-hmm. It says, I spent my life on the pavement. Please don't slow up on the payment. I'm dropping hints on the daily. You saying, I'm saying, you know, it's kind of like the conversation of, I need to make more money so I can, you know, get to that point. Our conversations on the daily, it has to do with, you know, oh, when we, you know, oh, what are we gonna, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so like the main part of the hook, it says, oh no, I got so used to solo. I don't want to do no promo. I seen it all in slow-mo. I guess I just got FOMO. So like, yeah, like I'm sorry, there's a bunch of people texting me. So, like talks about how I've gotten, you know, I'm kind of just excited about, you know what I'm saying, moving into a life with her. You know what I'm saying? And so that's pretty much that part. You know, it's like I'm gonna put this on airplane mode because people are blowing me up. So then the verse says, dead presidents, new residents, everyday crime scene, new evidence, no better than anyone ever did, the very best thing that heaven did ever sent. Like, talking about just the gift that she is to me, you know what I'm saying, and wanting to treat her like that, but kind of feeling like I'm messing up on the baby. Got a double life up every night, felt left out, I'm not all right. Just call me, don't stall me. I got no patience, baby, I'm sorry. I don't want to miss out. I guess we doing this now. Keep up with the crowd, or notice what I found. Kind of self-explanatory, you know what I'm saying? It's just being very vocal about, like, you know, you're right. Like, I don't want to miss out on what everyone's doing. Like, I want to keep up with the crowd, but I don't want to miss what I found with you. You know what I'm saying? And then it kind of just goes back to the hook. Yeah, so that's it's just, you know, it's a love song.
Yeah. And you have your girl in the video. Right.
Yeah. That took some convincing.
I'm sure. Based off of what you've said so far about her, I that sounds like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your producer friend. Did he do the majority of the production on this album?
Nah, not this one. That track was actually produced by Blackjacks.
Okay.
Who he produced One of You and Top on Olympus. You know.
Okay. So, because your production just in general on all of your projects is sick.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I love like everything. There wasn't like one like filler beat or anything. Like all of them go hard on every track. Let's go to Trust. You're welcome.
Trust. This is definitely one of my favorite songs on the project.
Why so?
it just feels good for one thing. And then I feel like it's very honest with still, being artistic in the midst of it, and then also my Wowie, the dude who produced it, and my girl did not like the song at first when I made it. They were like, nah, this is not it. And then I was like, dang. And then
but Wowie did do this one.
Yeah, he produced it, and then he was like, it's fantastic. He didn't like it from the moment he made the beat. He made the beat, and he was like, I'm not feeling it. And I was like, bro,
beat goes so hard.
I was like, yo, I'm gonna write a song to it. He was like, you can go ahead, but it's not dope. And then so he made the song. I made the song, and he's like, yeah, it's still not fire. And then my girl was like, I don't like it. And then I took it off, and then a couple months went by, and I was like, nah, screw all that. This is fire. You guys are actually wrong. And then I just re-recorded some parts, and I sent it back to them, and they were like, yo, I actually really like this. And I said, I know. Yeah, so this joint says, I took my time, now I got the whole squad going up. Everything's fine now, but flip that, who you gonna trust? They don't know me at all. Please pick up when I call. Have my back when I fall. Have my back when I fall. So it, kind of just dips back into that theme, of the projects just being like, these people that like I kind of put everything on in order to support me. Like y'all don't know me, and if I fall, if things happen, there's not going to be I don't imagine there'd be a support system. Like, especially with cancel culture as it is, you know what I'm saying? Like Jon Keith would be canceled. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of talking about needing to lean on the people who I know and love in my life. So the verse says, I quit my 9 to 5. Boy, you lost your mind. Blamed it on the sky. I thought it was time. Yeah, mountains got to climb. I need peace of mind. Looking for some dollars. Instead, I found a dime. I actually, I quit. I was working at Trader Joe's a while, like 2-3 years ago. And I had a show in Arizona at the same time as I had a shift. And I tried to get it off of work, and they were like, nah. And I was like, oh, yeah, just no. That's it. And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm just going to go. So I went, and I quit. And there was a lot of people that were like, yo, that was the wrong move. And I definitely think I did it the wrong way. So blamed it on the sky. Like, I felt like God was telling me to quit my job so I can go do this show. You know what I'm saying? And it talks about just like me being stressed out because of like money and all those kind of situations. And so I was looking for some dollars. Instead, I found a dime. Referring to my girlfriend. That's actually, God used her to bring peace into my life rather than, like being secure with like money and all that kind of stuff. Just because my girl is a minister for real. So sometimes I think I'm going crazy. I had friends bounce, but it never fazed me. I got a girl now, she don't want to change me. But she pushed me to the Lord, he rearranged me. Oh no solo. All my brothers fight, and they gonna roll along. I take L's like practice. God leveled up my status. I look at my life just like it's all snakes and ladders. Yeah, I mean, that one, there's kind of a lot in that. Just talking about, seeing who's really with me and not with me as time goes and as life progresses. Says, where's your backup? Tell me, where's your backup? Oh, you big screen. You trying to act up. Oh, you boss, huh? Are you acting? That is not true. You captain. So, like, kind of referring to myself there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not being honest with people sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, like, backup referring to the people that's supposed to keep me accountable. So it's like, where's your backup? You big screen, you're trying to act up like you're not being true right now for who you are. And it says, kind of just repeats that, oh, you boss, huh? Why you acting? that is not true. He a captain, and captain is just kind of a play on words. You know, you're acting like you're the boss, but you're not. Then it goes back into the hook, and then the second verse is actually my favorite. But it says, "Came back for the re-up, can't see us, I'm a savage. Don't act like you know me if you ain't met my family. Don't act like you can hold me if I just panic. I might act like the old me, pop off, go manic." Kind of just like, you know, my view on what I think people would, how people would handle me if I was to act like old me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had anger issues. I had, you know, serious issues. And then, like, I really feel like I be going crazy sometimes. And then this part, I got trouble sleeping, need some medicine. These pills ain't enough. I need better than. Some people in my life feel like a detriment. I get flashbacks like I'm a veteran. You know, there was a time early this year where I was not able to sleep at all. I could not fall asleep. My mind was just so stressed about everything going on in life right now. You know, yeah, even right now. Saying that right now, you know, it just brought me back to what I was thinking about during that time. You know, there was just like, there's some people that I was dealing with that were not for me, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like everyone in your life has to be for you, but when there's people that are deliberately against you, you know what I'm saying, and you're trying to act like you guys are for each other, then like that can be a lot of stress and a lot of just heartache on a person. So, you know, I have this thing where sometimes if something really affected me, like I'll just zone out and start thinking about that conversation or that whatever. And like I'll start to like legitimately play out the whole thing in my mind. I've caught myself like repeating it before. You know what I'm saying? Like I was
just obsessing over it.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you up.
Yeah, a lot of the times. And so yeah, so I get flashbacks like a veteran, and I'm still young, and I ain't won, but I ain't done yet. Who could I save if I'm falling still? I ain't got no cape. It says, can you back up? I need you to back up. I'm a saint, so please don't make me act up. I've been childish. I've been slacking. I need Jesus. I think I'm cracking. So, like, you know, kind of just goes back into that, you know, like, Nathan, I sometimes I don't want to have everybody in my business. I don't want to have, you know, I want to be able to share my thoughts without thousands of people or hundreds of people trying to give input on my thoughts. People that I don't know.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, dang, okay. And then, you know, I'm a saint, so please don't let me act up. People look at me as this pastor figure a lot of the time. So God forbid I act out of character. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap. So, you know, and then that's pretty much that whole song.
Trust. Okay. Let's move on to King featuring Beleaf.
Yeah.
And also just the fact that you were able to get Beleaf on it, being that he's quote unquote retired.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I sent him the record. I was like, yo, I got a joint that I think you would fit on. Like that. I sent it, and then he sent back that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is actually one of the deepest songs on here. So like this song is actually the second half to Dance. So the song right before it, and just to give it some context, like Dance is a song about me losing my virginity, and like just walks through my whole thought process, and in the middle of it, And then the second half goes to what's going on in my head after the deed was done. And then
Okay.
so then King is kind of like the other side of it, right?
Okay.
So this one says, the verse says, well, the hook says, you know, I can't go back now. Everything has changed. Nothing been the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
With referring to that. So then the verse says, Christ King forever. Had me on his mind way before my conception. My dreams came to life like I'm stuck in Inception. I gotta repent when I throw my attention. I gotta repent when I only come for the blessing. I gotta repent when I be trying to finesse him. I got stains. I'm out of my lane. I'm playing God, but that's shame. I'm not king. I don't reign. There's a lot in all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, you know, it just talks about like where my mindset was at during that time. I was like, you know, hey, I'm the guy. You know, like I lost, so I had lost my virginity to a girl that I didn't care about me, and but I had my mindset in that was like, well, like why not?
Okay.
Like it's fine. Who cares? So the kind of a mindset like I get to decide what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it goes to that. You know, I'm out of my lane. I'm playing God, and that's a shame. I'm not king. I don't reign. Then this part is crazy. So it says, why do I relapse? I do not know. I put the Bible in my backpack, then I just go. I see pain and it hits my soul, and I wonder, my God, when's the last you spoke? In these waves right here in this storm, I can't see your face, but I just keep rowing. I know you said don't get in that boat, but I kept my eyes on the sirens. Oh, so this is funny because there was a time in my life where every morning, every day, I would get up, I would taking this backpack. This backpack is going with me everywhere.
Okay.
Every day, my Bible is in that backpack. Every morning, I was not reading it.
Mm.
I
So
would
you're
get up
just
in the
carrying it
morning.
with you.
I put the Bible in my backpack, and then I would go and get my day started.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, God, you ain't spoke to me in forever. Negro, you got the word in your backpack. What do you know what I'm saying? So like, you know, so why do I relapse? I do not know. I put the Bible in my backpack, then I just go. I see pain and it hits my soul. Then I wonder, my God, when's the last time you spoke? In these ways, I'm right here in this storm. I can't see your face, but I just keep rowing. I know you said don't get in that boat, but I kept my eyes on the sirens. Oh, so like the sirens referring to the girl and the boat referring to that situation. So then it says, look, I done to him what I done to Lisa. I done to him what's done to Lisa these. Don't know what they did, but I need my bread and cheese. And the spirit in my ear, he crying, please, but I cannot hear. I'm doing what I please. Then I think, what would I do if I was Eve? Because I swore that I would never touch the tree. But then God checked my pride and he told me take a seat because I know that she ain't even bad as me. So there's like this thing, you know, Jesus says, you know, what you've done to the least of these is what you've done to me, right? In reference to like taking care of the needy and the broken and all that kind of stuff. But I was in a place where like I don't care about what's going on with you or where you're at. Like I need my money. Like I need my whatever's mine. Like I need that.
Yeah.
Like you did something to get you there, but I don't even know what you did. But I don't care. So don't know what they did. I need my bread and cheese. And the spirit in my ear, he crying, please, but I cannot hear. I'm doing what I please. And then I think, what would I do if I was Eve? Because I swore that I never would have touched the tree. Uh, but God checked my pride and he told me take a seat because I know that even that is me. Like, I know the depths of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know the depths of what I struggle with. I know only me and God know my thoughts. And so God's like, why would you even? Not that like God's condemning me, but he's like, yo, like why are you trying to elevate yourself above somebody else when it's like, you know, like, you know.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? You know what I saved you from, right? It says, give up everything. I know it's all yours. I lost my ID, but you never lost yours. I hit my knees and remind myself I can't go through if I'm locking the door. I can't walk through waves while I'm still on the shore. I can't win battles if I lost my sword. Can't fill my cup if I don't let him pour. I can't notice your king if I'm running from the war. And that's kind of self-explanatory. And then it just goes back into the hook, and then Beleaf comes and raps his behind off.
I mean, I have a few questions. Since we just mentioned Beleaf, do you feel like any sort of pressure to be on the same track as Beleaf?
Yes. I recorded that and I was like debating. I was like, is this even good enough to send to Beleaf? I shouldn't do it. I was like, I need to send him something that's amazing. But then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it. The message is real and it's needed. So yeah.
And then just the whole decision with like to write the song Dance and even just put yourself out there like that in terms of mentioning your losing your virginity story, like why that decision?
I wanted to give people tangible evidence that somebody else might not. I wanted to give people, help people understand the reality of being human while still finding encouragement in it, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's a real thing. That thing weighed on me heavy. When that happened, that was like some of the hardest stuff that I had ever experienced. You know what I'm saying? It was weighing on me really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah, just because most artists wouldn't write about that. At least I kind of feel like this generation, your generation of artists, are a little bit more transparent in what's going on in their life as it's going on. Like we're like kind of watching and listening in real time. A lot of the older generation wouldn't write anything like that, or maybe they would talk about it like years after it happened.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Thank you.
So yeah. And the last song, Anti-Hero, I mean, might be a little self-explanatory now since we know about the whole album and everything.
Yeah.
But if there's a verse that you want to share, or any story you want to tell.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, some of this verse that's I feel like, you know, can be broken down some. So in the verse it says, if we gonna talk, then let's keep it a stack. If you want to show, then I need more than a rack. If you want a priest, then make it the mass. And if you want a hero, no, and you want a hero, but I wear a mask. So like, you know, there's this line that kind of goes throughout the project that says, you know, two things. It's like, I'm not here to save, like I'm here to make a kingdom. Like there's people, like my everyday mission is to give people Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I rap is to be successful in it, right? Now, spreading Jesus is a part of who I am as a believer. So like, that's my ultimate life mission. But I can do that working in Albertsons.
Yeah.
I can do that doing
California reference. And for those who don't live in California, Albertsons is a grocery store.
I can do that working at the grocery store. I can do that working at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I can do that working somewhere else. The reason I rap, because I love music and I want to be successful in it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not here to save. I'm here to make a killing. Only Jesus rescues. I look like a villain, right? It's kind of the thing that kind of runs through. So like, I'm kind of talking about that here. So, if you saw me more than a wreck, you want a priest, then make it to mass. You want a hero, but I wear a mask. I can't be that. Like, you don't even know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus is the only person who showed you everything that he was, that gave you all of it. That gave you, everything that he is, and just all of him. Everybody else is like, they're hiding, right? And it says, voice in the thunder, this ain't no Shazam. Who for the glory and who for the glam? What did he kneel to write in the sand? They call me the goat, but you need the lamb. GOAT, the acronym greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But it's funny because scripture, in a symbolic or in a metaphorical way, paints the difference between a goat and a lamb. Or the goat and the sheep. It's like, that's what people call me, but I can't. I can be the goat if you want me to. I can't be the lamb. Like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. Reaching for help. Who got the power? Fighting with demons for diamonds and dollars. I'm proud of my pride when I'm hearing them holler. You got the nerve to be popping your collar. I do. Hold up. Yo, didn't you grow up? This is the people talking. So hold up. Didn't you grow up? Didn't you get your dreams to blow up? You got blood on your hands. You stained. You don't need a cape, homie. You deserve chains. And so, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it's yeah. And then the bridge says, y'all don't even know what kind of man you're dealing. I ain't here to save. I'm here to make a killing. What else can I say? I've always been a realist. Only Jesus rescues. I look like a villain. And that's the title track.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Anti-Hero, the album. One thing I did want to mention, not on this album, but one of my favorite songs of yours that still I have on my worship playlist is Yes God. And so I
you mean That's God?
That's God, that's right. That's God. My bad. And then you have the Still God, and I saw you did the whole IG concert for Anti-Hero, and you merged the That's God and Still God, and I was loving that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But both beats go hard. Did the same producer do both?
No, I actually produced That's God.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Mad props to you. I play that song over and over. That's a couple years old, and I still be playing that.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And then there's a dope producer named Woe2 that produced Still God.
Okay.
Yeah. He's dope.
So how does God's presence look like in your life musically?
Shoot. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, God and music, he speaks to me a lot of the times through that. Not only other people's songs, he speaks to me through when I'm writing a lot too. Like when I'm writing a song, he speaks to me through that.
Okay.
And so, that's a huge piece of it. You know what I'm saying? So.
And my final question, now that you've gone through this whole interview process, who would you like to see me interview?
A Klesso.
Cool. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a minute. I talked to him a long time ago, and I was never able to air it, which I feel like trash for. But there's a few people that happened to, because I went on a hiatus that wasn't intended. So yeah, I want to tell his story again.
Yeah.
For sure. Why do you say a Klesso though?
It's just my guy. And
okay.
I feel like he has a really
I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe to our show. And if you really enjoy the content, please leave a review. It really does help with the ranking. For all things testimony, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Galika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.